Two cases of strange visions from paradise. The first case happened to Raisa Remizova from the city of Serpukhov in the Moscow region of Russia, a middle aged woman with a higher education. On one of the autumn days, she suddenly realized that she was out of her body. She saw in front of her something like a river, or she could not give a better description. On the opposite side of the bank of the river, quote unquote, she saw mysterious white figures moving back and forth. And Raisa calls, I was wondering where I was, and everything seemed strangely smooth. It's interesting that while I was not the least bit surprised about what was going on, in the first figure that approached me, I recognized a relative of mine, an aunt, and she looked at me in horror and asked firmly, Why are you here? It's still early. And after a pause, she added, We're checking every minute. On the legs under the white robe, there were some bruises that were noticeable, and Raisa asked, What are those bruises? And the aunt answered, My daughter-in-law, this is from the evil that struck me. And she continues to say, He was very horrible coming at me so quickly. Changing her face, and in a loud voice she ordered, Get out of here at once. Raisa concluded the first part of the story with these words. So I failed to learn, and the next second I was aware of myself in my own physical body. And let's just say she dreams of all this. However, the second part of her amazing story leaves no room for improvement. About an hour after the strange dream, Raisa Remizova received an urgent telegram about the death of her aunt and immediately went to her funeral. When she stayed for a while in the room where they had her corpse, she remembered the strange dream and pulled the sheet cover from her aunt's corpse to see her. On her legs she saw exactly the same bruises that she saw on the legs in the dream. From the conversation with the relative to find out what happened to her aunt and how she died, she soon learned that there had been a wild and ugly fight at home, and she had been violently beaten by her husband, and her death was a result of the beating. The vision of the dissident and the communist regime, an interesting description of another strange vision can be found in one of Vladimir Bukovsky's books. Vladimir Bukovsky, a neurophysiologist and author, born in 1942, former Soviet dissident, who warns that the European Union is turning into a Soviet-style dictatorship. Without to be wrong, he said that the European Union is marching at full speed to become another Soviet Union. He faced communist hatred in prisons and communist concentration camps, and once, when he was again in communist guardship under guards, he had an incredible experience. According to him, he suddenly found himself in some strange, mysterious place where there were many who were conventionally called people. Bukovsky writes, all of them were connected by very complex psychological relationships, from one word or one question that wanted a solution, which in turn affected everyone. Therefore, each of those present must constantly produce incredible complex calculations in his mind, taking into account all the possible solutions of others. And these calculations are endless, as there is no end to the number of possible combinations. Everyone is closely connected with thousands of relationships. At the same time, everyone tries to look completely carefree. First, Raisa Remizova's aunt died shortly after Remizova's visions, and secondly, the fact that in her vision there was something like a river. Ancient Greek texts contain references to a river, the river of the dead. According to the beliefs of the Greeks, on the opposite bank of the river, another world actually begins. To get there, the souls of the dead must cross the river of death, which is like an obstacle, which has many different names and variations, a dam, a river of fire, a ravine, and the like, as the American psychiatrist R. Moody, author of the world-famous book Life After Life, Raisa Remizova apparently briefly went into a sort of a waiting room of the afterlife. As for Vladimir Bukovsky, no answer can be given as to where he went and what he saw. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account.
The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.